from way back when. We'll try to do our best, fulfill all your requests, make you feel like our special guest. One more thing that we all want you to know. Hope you'll enjoy the show. So sincerely from our hearts, it's music from the stars.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Polka Video Spotlight Show. I'm very honored and pleased to have as my guest this afternoon, all the way from Santa Barbara, California, none other than the premier polka disc jockey out in that area, Mr. Greg Drust. Greg, good afternoon and welcome.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me on your show. You're a brave man, Keith.
Greg, we met a few weekends ago at the Bel Air Polka Days, and of course I've heard about you through the years out in performing out in California.
I'll just believe the good stuff.
Okay. It's important to tell our viewers, rather. You know, I was in radio for a while, too, and it's hard to make that transition between viewers and listeners. But Greg is blind. He lost his sight at 15 years of age, and he has been promoting the polka out in California for a number of years. And it's just great to have you on the program because we don't get many celebrities through Chicago.
Well, yes, there is polka music in California, folks. We'll tell you that for sure.
Tell us about how you really got involved in all of this promotion and promulgation of the polka field out in California.
I love it, is really the main points. And I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My father's from Chicago, St. Peter and Paul Parish.
Oh, yeah, where all the polka stars come from.
That's right. That's the heart, the seed bed.
Right.
And Little Wally was my first musical hero, and I was just a little boy, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, wanted to be just like Wally. And heard a lot of good polka music from my father. And I remember going to WOPA radio, must have been about 1961 or so, and watching the Ampalaires perform live on the Chet Galinsky show. It must have been one of the first studio audiences that they had. And to show you how long ago that was, I remember Chet was still playing some 78s on his program. And the old 16-inch turntables.
Chet is rather old.
Well, not that. He's the master. He is really one fine disc jockey. So from those roots, I kept my love for polka music, moved to Santa Barbara with the immediate family in 1972, got with KCSB in 1972, just working for the station, got a show there in 1974, got a polka show there in 1978. From KCSB, I took the show to KKIO, which was a country AM station, and did a 2-hour polka show for them on Sunday afternoons. Then took the show to KBLS, which is the Music of Your Life station in Santa Barbara. Did a, let's see, I think that was a 1-hour polka show for them. Then my former boss at KKIO had bought a radio station in Pueblo, Colorado, KAYK. And he said, Greg, it's a good station, but what I don't have is a polka show. And I said, Guy, would you like me to record one for you? And he said, yes. So I was on the air through tape on KAYK in Pueblo, Colorado for a year and a half. Then took the show, actually little features that I record called the Collector's Corner. I send those to Jim Ebner at WIMS in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and also brought the polka show back to KCSB FM in Santa Barbara, where I currently do it on Tuesday afternoons from noon until 2.
So you're originally from the Midwestern area. That's where you got your polka roots, and your dad was from St. Peter and Paul Parish, which is where many of the great polka artists that are performing in the field today have come from. Like you said, the seedbed.
Lenny Gomolka, Steve Adamczyk, many of them, yeah, sure.
He knows them all. Tell us what it's like being sightless and having to record a radio program. Does it take you more time probably than it would for like when I used to do it, or when Eddie Blazonczyk or Chet does it a show now?
Well, what you have to do is make sure that you're organized. And what I do is I choose my music ahead of time, which you probably do too. You know, that's something that a good broadcaster often will do, to have the program set out, unless you're having a request show or something like that. So I choose the cuts. I make a little tape of cheat notes telling me what song it is and what track on the album, if it is an album. And I bring that along with me. I play that off mic just to myself, you know, so I can talk to myself, and work all the rest of the equipment. I'm my own engineer, by the way, also. and have very little adaptive equipment, just little pieces of dymo tape to show approximately where the volume level should be. Under turntable 1, I have a horizontal dymo tape. Turntable 2 has 2 horizontals. Turntable 3, 3 horizontals. Cartridge machine 1 has 1 vertical. Cartridge 2 has 2 verticals, and so on and so forth. My records are all labeled in Braille, and the records are organized in my home studio, categorical, according to what style of music it is, and then alphabetical by artist, so I have access to that. I work with a secretary to help me find the research material for the shows, such as the date a certain thing is recorded, or who wrote the song, or a little story on the band or orchestra or artist. And I go in and cut those shows live. When I was doing programs on the National Public Radio satellite for my own A-Plus Productions syndication company, then I rented a studio and did that really letter perfect, hired an engineer and just really went to town, timed things out, just to the second. But when you're live, it's good to have an element of spontaneity. So that's what I do. My format is a mixed show. I have Polish, Slovenian, and German Dutchman. In an alternation, in a rotation. I try to have at least 1 recording from Europe per show, and 1 interview that I do at different festivals and events like this, and bring that back to Santa Barbara. I try to have 1 interview per show also, so that's basically my format.
I understand you have a record library of over 35,000 records.
It's grown, Keith, just like my waistline has grown uncontrollably, and I'm up to about 50,000 now, yeah.
And those are all in Braille?
Most of them are. I buy them quicker than I can Braille label them, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's an ongoing project.
Greg, what's one of your favorite polka bands?
Oh my goodness, I would have to say Lenny Gomulka is really a current favorite. He has that good Chicago sound, and just like his roots are the same as mine. And as I'm a current listener, he is a current band performing. He has an all-star group. He writes great songs. He sings Polish and English. He has great instrumentals. Just a fabulous crack band. He does some great American-style things, too, although my strong preference is the Polish, because you can go, I can go to the Holiday Inn in Santa Barbara and hear somebody singing Margaritaville.
Right.
So I don't need to go all the way across the country to hear another band doing that. I want to hear Chicago-style music, or, one of Lanny's songs. So when he does the festivals, when he plays polka events, it's all polkas, waltzes, and obetics, and I really appreciate that.
Well, let's go right on stage right now and feature Lenny Gomulka and the Chicago Push for Ron's Bungalow in one of Greg's favorite orchestras.
We play lots of music, Chicago-style music, the way I learned when I was just a boy. We play lots of music, that good old polka music, directly from Chicago, Illinois. Yeah! Of music, Chicago-style music, the way they used to play it way back when. We play lots of music, Chicago-style music, the way they taught us back when we were kids. We play lots of music, Chicago-style music, the way I learned when I was just a boy. We play lots of music, that good old polka music, directly from Chicago, Illinois. Yeah! Play lots of music, Chicago-style music, that's what dancers love throughout the land. We play lots of music, Chicago-style music, with only 6 musicians in our band. We play lots of music, Chicago-style music, the way I learned when I was just a boy. We play lots of music, that music from the south side of Chicago, Illinois.
Join the many thousands of satisfied van and truck owners who have been taking advantage of Chicagoland's largest inventory of van and truck ladder racks, locks, shelf units, and part bins. It's Keystone Supply, located at 4600 West Lawrence Avenue in Chicago. Let the experts at Keystone select the custom van or truck package designed to meet your needs and to fit your budget. For complete van and truck conversions, call the professionals at Keystone at 202-2680. Keystone, 4600 West Lawrence Avenue in Chicago.
PACA-O delivers in Poland and orders placed in the United States a great assortment of medicines, over-the-counter drugs, and nutrients for adults, which are in very great demand in Poland. Prices of these items from PACA-O are much lower than those of competing firms, and their quality and purity is of the highest caliber. Information and catalogs are gladly given and orders accepted by all authorized PACA-O dealers and by the PACA-O Trading Corporation, located in Chicago at 333 North Michigan Avenue, or call PACA-O at 782-3933.
We're back, and we're joined this afternoon on the Polka Video Spotlight by Greg Drust, all the way from Santa Barbara, California. And Greg, we just featured one of your favorite bands before the commercial break, Lenny Gomulka and Chicago Push. Let's talk a little bit about some of your other favorites in the polka field, some of the bands that you feature on your radio program, perhaps.
Oh, there are many. Let's talk about maybe some Slovenian bands,
Okay, sure.
possibly, because I do follow that line of music also. Eddie Rodick out of Cleveland has a fabulous band now, and they're really a show band. They work up quite a performance to give the audience Ron Sluga on banjo, who has made his way through some of the best bands, Frank Yankovic, Kenny Bass, Art Walnuss, Klansnick Brothers Orchestra, many bands. He's with Eddie Rodick now. Eddie has his son. Actually, Eddie Rodick Jr. is the one who has the band. Eddie Rodick III is a dynamic young drummer. They have a female vocalist now in the band for just the last 2 months or so. Robin Snow is her name. She sings some of the American songs, and they're going to be teaching her, as I understand it, Keith, some of the Slovenian vocals. So that's a great band. I love the Johnny Vadnal Orchestra out of Cleveland. Some real mastery there. This man has been doing it since the 1930s with his family band. He's been recording for labels such as RCA, Imperial, Molay, and other independent labels since the 40s. And although he's not recording very much these days in performance, he is great, sounding really good. My friends, the Klansnick Brothers Orchestra out of Detroit, again, a very, very hot band. Not a great recording band. They did one old album, and they did one side of an album with backing a vocalist named Velma Capel out of Detroit. But they are a fine Slovenian band. Again, in performance, they're very, very dynamic, one of the country's best. It's hard, you know, when you start to name bands. You know, Don Wotilla does a great job.
Sure.
You know, many of these orchestras are just fabulous. I'm going to be getting into trouble here, not mentioning people. Frankie Yankovic, you know, one of the greatest, who has his band out of Cleveland, but also plays with different bands, because everybody plays Frank style.
Sure.
Or everybody can play Frank. So the Slovenian tradition has evolved beyond that now. But anybody could play Frank style because he was so tremendously popular. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, my hometown, Louis Bichel has a great Slovenian band. Don Grelick is a fabulous Slovenian-style concertina player, believe it or not. He does a tremendous job. So all of these bands I really love. I haven't followed the German-Dutchman style as much in performance as I could, but I'm trying to think of the man out of the Wisconsin area who's so good. Hank Haller, of course, out of Cleveland is one of my favorites. Ray Conkle is who I was trying to think of, out of Wisconsin. Carl and the Country Dutchman do a great job.
You have a hell of a memory. I'll tell you that.
And these are just the favorites. I love the old Cousin Fuzzy Band. It's really profound. Uncle Ozzy now has his book and is doing a lot of those arrangements. Of course, Whoopie John, the Six Fat Dutchman for the old-time stuff. In the Polish bands, we were talking about some of those before. Lenny Gomulka out of the East Coast. I love Ray J and the Carousels, the Sounds. They do some of that fine Ampolaires material.
Sure.
Love the Ampolaires. There's some old favorites. The New Tones. Stacy and Vicky doing those female vocals tear me up. Those guys got to get some records out now. They just have that 145. I love them. Jimmy Sturr, of course, doing the old Frank Wojnarowski type big band style. I love that. Out of Chicago, so many. The Stash Bulanda is just tearing it up with that above-average polka band. And to quote Marion Lush at Seven Springs, he said, Stash, you never should have called it the average polka band. You should have called it the excellent polka band. And I would have to go with Marion Lush on that. I love Marion. I love Eddie Blazonczyk and the Versatones, one of the finest for the last 20, 25 years. To be on top for that length of time, Keith, is just phenomenal.
Well, when they made Eddie, they broke the shell.
And I'm glad to see that he is extending the tradition. From his band came Lenny Gomulka.
Yeah, right.
From his band is coming Tony Blazonczyk, the South Side Sound. Eddie Jr. sounding good, singing with the band, playing concertina. And inspiring many people still, Eddie Blazonczyk and the Versatones.
Greg, tell us about the polka scene on the West Coast. We don't get to hear that often. It's always the East Coast, but the West Coast. What is the polka scene out? We know that the polka family was out there for a number of years, and also as of late, I think because of the Grammys, you had groups like Rotundi and Brave Combo coming into the picture. What is the polka scene out like on the West Coast?
Keith, I'm going to answer you like a politician. It's both encouraging and discouraging. Now, we're going to take the negative first and get that out of the way.
All right.
It's discouraging because there isn't a scene like you have here in Chicago where I could come in for Bel Air Days like I did last week, Frank Yankovic's 75th birthday party that I'm doing this week, and as we speak, there are many church festivals happening, there are clubs happening, there are other festivals going on. It's a great scene around the Midwest and the East Coast. In California, we really don't have that, and recognize that California is probably the third or fourth biggest state. It's almost the entire West Coast. So when you say California, you're talking all the way down to Mexico to almost up to Canada. So in that region, there are certain little pockets, like Slovenian music is real strong around the Fontana, California area between Los Angeles and San Diego. They have a Slovenian lodge. They have about 7 different bands, again, playing mostly the older Yankovic style, not so much the new Slovenian style. It's from around that area, from around Riverside, where the polka family was centered since they left. The Villagers are the top Polish band out there. They do a fine show. And Gary Siebert is doing a fine job with his Slovenian band, a family band around Sacramento, California, which is way up north. That's the state capital. There's a Button Box Festival in Fontana over Memorial Day, over Thanksgiving, around the middle to northern California area. There's a polka festival there. Rotundi, as you mentioned, is doing kind of a rock polka fusion in Los Angeles. Brave Combo comes through there. I kind of prefer what they have to offer. Again, that's just saying a personal favorite. They're not from the Los Angeles area, but
Texas.
Yeah, they do come in from time to time. So the negative thing is there's not as much happening as in other places. The positive thing is that there are those things that we discussed, and it's a heck of a lot more than it was 30 years ago.
Let's get back to Chicago. What's another one of your favorite bands here in the Chicagoland area?
Can't we play one by Eddie Blazonczyk and the Versatones?
You know we can.
Marysiu, i dawaj swoje serce dzisiaj. for I'm champion mighty sure.
Everybody Polka aboard the TSS Celebration as Eddie Blazonczyk and his Versatone set sail for their annual 7-day fall polka cruise October 20th through to 27th. Your ports of call include San Juan, St. Thomas, St. Martin, all in the Virgin Islands. Complete fly cruise rates are just $11.35 per person and everything's included. Round-trip airfare, transfers, outside deck staterooms, all your meals, exciting casino, star-studded shows and cocktail parties, and live music with Eddie Blazonczyk and his Versatones. A wide variety of shipboard activities, plus many extras. Everybody Polka with Eddie Blazonczyk's Versatones aboard the TSS Celebration this October 20th through the 27th. For reservations and information, contact Beller Enterprises by calling area code 708-594-5182. 708-594-5182. Polka aboard the TSS Celebration with Eddie Blazonczyk and his Versatones October 20th through the 27th.
It's done by everyone.
Lot Polish Airlines, now more than ever, the recognized leader in travel to Poland.
We're back, and we're joined this afternoon by a gentleman all the way from Santa Barbara, California, Mr. Greg Drust, a fantastic disc jockey and a polka promoter extraordinaire, impresario maybe, on the West Coast. And
keep talking, it sounds good.
The important thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is that Greg does all this sightless, and he has been doing it since the age of 15. And Greg, let's talk about the polka field on a whole, as you feel it or you see it. We here in Chicago have a lot of competition. We are fighting amongst, not fighting, I don't think that's a correct terminology to use, but there's always everybody trying to get ahead of each other, trying to put out the best product. What do you find on the East Coast, and what do you hear on the West Coast from the Chicagoland area?
All good. What I hear is from the IPA newsletter. It's from the recordings, and I think the key, Dick Pillar said it was polka unity. And if there can be a feeling and a spirit of cooperation as opposed to knocking one another down, I think we'll all be better, because the polka field is growing. But we still need more. I'm not saying it's not big. Yes, it is big, but it can be bigger. It needs all the help it can get. We need to get the young people in there from all ethnic traditions.
Let me stop you on that point. How do you think, and I always bring this up on this segment of the show, how do you think we can get more younger people enticed in coming out to polka fairs and getting interested in the polka field?
That's the $64,000 question. I would say it's like promoting an event, and promoting an event is like a mathematical equation. Who knows, when you're experimenting, when you're just trying, what equation, what combination of factors is going to put it over the top for you. But just a broad statement I could make, if you make it as good as you can, not sell out, not try to water it down with rock and roll, not try to weaken your offering to attract the lowest common denominator, but make it as good as you can, like the Eddie Rodick Band, let's say, in the Slovenian field, is attracting a younger audience because they're so dynamic, and there are young people in the band, and you know, they really put on a show. They play, and they play hard, and they're a show band, and the music, the aesthetics of what they do, the fine art of what they do is excellent. So I would say, number one, play as good as you can. Number two, reach out to people. You know, particularly in the Slovenian field, I found people so friendly, so welcoming. You might walk in a polka dance a stranger, but you won't walk out a stranger. You'll have many friends. And I think as people reach out to younger people, ask them out to dance, ask them to the dances, to the events. Hey, if they like a good time, they're going to be there. Another thing on the part of the promoters, and Eddie and Zip Livovinsky did this at Seven Springs, to let the younger generation in free, no charge. That would be another way to kind of reach out to that audience, and above and beyond that, just keep pushing, try promoting different events, show the young people that some of the negative stereotypes that have been attached to polka music are inaccurate. And that's what I try to do on my show, to play some of the best material from the different ethnic traditions that comprise polka music, to try to choose good spokespersons for the music, such as Eddie Blazonczyk or Fred Gregorich in the Slovenian field, Hank Haller in the German field, German-Slovenian field, to ask these men to be guests on the show, to discuss their music and to discuss the music, the state of polka music, and to show that there is intelligence, that there is tradition, that there is culture, that there is beauty and aesthetic excellence behind the music, I feel is really essential.
You probably answered that question more eloquently than anybody that's been on this program. Honest to God, it was a fantastic response.
You know, it's just to show that this is good stuff. It has as much credibility as classical music, as jazz, blues, rock and roll, and what we're facing here, the problem is that the mass media has dead-eye aimed at the kids for the last 30, 35 years, rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll, from the cradle on, until that's the only thing to listen to. And the kids grow up with that notion. It's easy to market to kids because their concepts, their mind, their brain is just forming, right? So if you tell them, if you show them this is what to listen to, this is the in thing to listen to, they're all going to do it. And that's what happened, and that's a conscious move on the part of advertisers to homogenize the audience, because it's easy to sell if you sell to one segment of the public. If you can make it all one, it's easier to sell an item. So it was advertising agencies, it was, I guess, the commercial establishment, you could say there, as well as other forces behind social movements, and who can say what it is. But a lot of that, I don't think, has really been to the benefit of the country, and has worked to the detriment of our society, the detriment of the country, and the detriment of music and the fine arts of the United States as a whole. Now, polka music is pretty well untouched by that as far as the output, because it's still a music for a culture within a culture, and anybody can appreciate it, and others have appreciated it, but pretty much it's within those ethnic cultures now. So that the music itself has been unaffected by some of the negative things that have gone on around it. But what has been affected negatively is the audience, that we don't really have as much of the young polka audience as we could and should, and I will say, and we will get.
Well, there you have our program this afternoon with Greg Drust, all the way from Santa Barbara, California, a true professional and a gentleman that knows certainly more about the polka field than a lot of people do in the Chicagoland area, and he's all the way out on the left coast, the west coast, and we look forward to having him back again real soon. My name's Keith Stras. Thank you for joining me on Polka Video Spotlight. Next month, the Polka Bunny herself, Vi Johansson. Good night, everybody.